Welcome back. This is Wisconsin Shoe Guy, and today we're going to do a good old-fashioned Adelaide shoe battle. And these Adelaides all have something in common. They're all made in the United Kingdom, and I've put them together in such a way to really kind of look at your standard Adelaides, which are on this side, versus your high-end Adelaides, which are on this side. Now, let's take a look at each one and we can talk about the shoes. You can see that there's some significant differences in proportion, like how big the cap is. You can see some of these have square toes, some of these have round toes. I've got a little bit of each on each side. To start with the brands, on the standard shoes, we have Crockett & Jones, we have Paul Sargent, and we have Loke. On the high-end side, we have George Cleverly, we have Gaziano Girling, and we have Edward Green. So what do we want to do? We want to take a look and we want to see, hey, do I spend $500 or pounds on a pair of shoes, or do I spend $1,000? And how do I decide in between? Now, some of these are in between prices, like the Cleverlys, I think, are $850. The Crockett & Jones can be as high as $800, depending on where you get them. The Paul Sargents are around 500 pounds. And the Lokes, these are export grades. This is the Trinity. And the last time I looked, it was running around 475, 500 pounds. So right in the ballpark. So prices change. I don't spend all my time actually looking at prices for these videos. I judge it based on what I looked at when I was buying them. And some of these are quite a few years old. So something to consider as you're watching. So make sure you check out the websites and you do it. I don't list all the websites on my site. I'm not advertising for them. I trust that all of you have Google and know how to use it. So let's look at some of the interesting features around these shoes. Now, this is the Trinity. This has a very, very nice finish. Some of the makers in Spain would call this an English finish. It just has a really nice patina on it. Very solid, not multicolored, but pretty nice. Takes polish well, as you can see. You know, the proportions are nice. The size of the cap, the size of the U-throat, the bevel edge here, which they do nicely. They have a slight bevel on the waist, not anything too crazy, but they do paint the waist, and this is open channel. Okay? And absolutely perfectly straight soles. Now we move over to the Paul Sargent, and this does not have as much wear on it. You know, this is a very short toe cap, less likely to actually bend, though. I think that's important to note. It has a really different proportion on the U-throat. All right, so you look at these. U-throat on the Loke is a little bit longer. So this is shorter here, extends out this portion of the shoe, perhaps to make your foot feel longer. It certainly depends on the size. Has peaks on the heel cap. Very straight. Has a bit of a growing fiddle on the waist. Very nice. Beveling, sharp work here on the 180. You know, and both, I think, you'll see here, have good stitch density on the sole work as well. I'm trying to get the angle right so you can see this. This has a little bit of a contrast to the stitching, so it's easier to see. But I mean, this is still, as you look at this, this is pretty darn good. So the coloring on this would also be your English tan leather. So the patina wise is good on both counts. Now, why is that important? It's important because on other brands, this is something that they'll charge you for, and something that you need to look at. I just turned on one of my lights. I feel like the sun is not necessarily giving us the best here today. Now, this has the same kind of variation in the patina. Really, really nice. Now, it's not surprising that shoes made in England have what they call an English patina, right? I mean, that's kind of the thing. But they are not bland patinas either. They're not just like a straight flat color. And I think that that's important. This has round, it has nice proportions, where the heel cap goes beyond. The Crockett & Jones just does a nice job there. Flat waist, square waist, right? And or flat sole, I guess, and then you know, open channel as well. So where you'll start to see here, now the proportion here again is different. You can see the U-thread on this is a little bit longer, but overall, for being a very similar size, the this has a much higher or longer vamp. So just something to keep in mind there. So now as we get into the higher end, now this is pebble grain leather, so it's a little bit different to see the patina on, but you can see that there's variation there. The proportion here is really close to the Paul Sargent. Now that's probably because these shoes are made in the, well, what was the Alfred Sargent factory at the time. And now we say that because it seems, and again this is pure conjecture, but it seems most of the George Cleverly ready-to-wear shoes, their bespoke is obviously made by them, but the ready-to-wear shoes were either made by Sargent, where they had a sole like this, or they were made by Crockett & Jones, where the sole was flat. Still closed channel, but something to be said. Now, this doesn't have the paint, and the fiddle is not quite as pronounced, but it is very similar, and you can see this is blind stitched and then done beautifully, I might add as well. Now, as we move up the line, now you have Gaziano Girling. Now, Gaziano Girling, the patina is like totally next level. Does very, very different. This has got this beautiful blue, just crushes the patina in a way that the others don't. The proportions are also, I mean, this is huge wide here, comes up very narrow. This is, of course, the Deco Square Last, so it has a very unique shape to it. They have the peaks here, but again, the patina really, really pops. You can see this straight heel, very narrow waist, slight fiddle, of course painted, and just a gorgeous, gorgeous sole. Now these soles are Baker soles, which are probably considered some of the highest end in the market. The same soles that they use for bespoke. Now these are said to be bark tan soles. They're very good. They wear very well. These are also a different bark tan sole, also wear very well. These seem to be your standard veg tan sole, and but they wear really, really well. And as I said before, this is more along the lines of what's on the Paul Sargent. Now, then you have Edward Green. Now the soles on these are also, these are like willow bark tanned, so very, very interesting there. This is straight. Now you can get this with a straight sole, you can get a half sole, you can get a bunch of different things with it, but no fiddle, and very flat waist. This is closed channel, so that means it's, because it's hammered shut, it's not as likely to separate and see the channel later. Things that are blind stitched are, you know, they actually pull a flap over and then they put the flap back. Well, that flap wears down and then you can see the stitching. So now this is, there's no bevel on the waist. This is a square waist, and they do it beautifully. The heels are straight and done nicely. And of course the patina on this, in this rosewood, is just so. I feel like it does a nice job. So what are we paying for? What's the difference when it comes to these different videos? Well, stay tuned for my next one. For once, I'm actually going to break these things up and do them at different times. Thanks for watching.